Hello folks and welcome back to my channel. This video will be the last part of my DCS World Beginner's Guide, where I introduce you to the SU-25T. The SU-25 is a Russian-built ground attack aircraft from the late Cold War, similar to the American-built A-10. Now stay tuned when we finally get to blow something up. Before we jump into the cockpit, I will quickly show you what mission we will be flying today. You will find it here under Mission in your DCS World main menu. If you select your SU-25T, you will find a few different missions here. Some of them are only for practice, as it says here, but some others actually have a real combat scenario, like this one here, Long Day, and we will be flying that one today. We are now here at our mission briefing screen, which is actually kinda important that you read through this page here carefully. When I started flying in DCS World, I didn't pay so much attention to it. I would just click on start here and start flying my mission. But if you don't know exactly what you will be up against and what you should be prepared for, you will make a very easy target for enemy air defenses. So let's go through this. It says here my task, CAS, Combat Air Support or Close Air Support, which is the main role for the SU-25, obviously since it is a ground attack aircraft. It says here about our fuel. We will be having a full tank, and also here our weapons that we will be provided with when we start the mission. We will later change this armament, and I will show you the basic struggle that comes with changing armament, especially to a DCS World beginner. Now we won't be flying alone, of course. We will have allied flights here in our airspace. We will have 4 times SU-27s who will fly a CAP, Combat Air Patrol, and they should keep our ass free of enemy aircraft. We will have an AI wingman. As you can see here, we will be 2 SU-25s, one will be controlled by us. We will have 6 times SU-24M. They will fly a SEAT strike. A SEAT strike is basically a suppression of enemy ground-to-air threats like SAM systems, for example. And we will also have 2 Mi-24V combat helicopters. Now here under situation, it just gives a little bit of background information about this battle. It basically says here that we will be providing combat air support to a Russian battalion of some armored vehicles that are defending a small town from invading Georgian forces with some NATO support units. Here it gives again more detailed information about our flights. What is important here, of course, in the mission there will be a lot of radio chatter going on, and it tells us here what will be our call sign, and that is also important because you want to know when you are called on the radio communications. So the whole flight is called a Vostok 25. And as you can see here, there are more different call signs like 112, for example, and that will be us. But they will also be calling us as a Vostok 25 235 or 347. So keep in mind that all of these radio communications you have to filter out when they will be talking to another allied flight that doesn't really concern us, or when they really want to tell us something important, like where our targets are, for example. Here again our objective, locate enemy positions and detect the assaulting units as commanded by mission control. So now here comes actually the most important section, threats, and here it says known threats. These are like possible enemy units that we will encounter. Now, very important for us here, it seems like the enemy will have two F-16s in the air. We don't really want to mess around with those. Low and slow flying aircraft like the SU-25 makes a very easy target for the F-16s, and our flight of SU-27s should cover us from those. Now also it seems like the enemy has a Roland SAM system. A Roland SAM system is something like a short-range frontline SAM system developed by the Germans, very capable, very dangerous if you get too close. Same applies for the Gepard here, that is a radar-guided AAA, so an anti-air artillery. So before we start attacking our assigned targets, which will most likely be some tanks or other armored vehicles, we really need to take out those air threats, the Roland and the Gepard, or possibly here the Hawk SAM system that hopefully will be destroyed by our SEAD strike. Now we have here the mission planner, which opens our tactical map of the whole scenario. Now when looking at this for the first time, at least it was for me very confusing and complicated. It's not really like your basic video game map. It uses real-life military symbology, and it's a bit like where am I? Where is the enemy? Where do I start? Basically what you have to know is when you are flying any kind of Russian aircraft in the game, you will always be on the red side, and blue will be your enemy, and later on vice versa. So we will be taking off from Sukhumi here. We are provided with some pre-planned waypoints towards our front line, which is here in this area. Those red symbols here are our Russian units defending this town here, and those blue units here will be closing in on our positions, and we will most likely be attacking some of those. So with all that information now, we can start our mission. We will once again see our briefing screen, and when I click fly here, the mission will start. Note that for this mission we are already positioned at the end of the runway, engines turned on, and everything is ready for takeoff. But when we look around our plane here, we will see that we already have a given armament for this mission, containing 16 of our laser-guided Vichar missiles and 6 of those cluster ammunition dispensers. Now, I always thought that the given armament here for this mission is actually not really suitable at all, because these cluster munitions are, at least in my experience, not very effective against heavily armored targets. Furthermore, I also think that when we have so many air threats on the enemy side, that we need something to suppress these, and we don't really have anything to attack radiation emitting sources here. So I always wanted to change this armament, but when I was a beginner and I was really flying this for the first few times, I have no idea how it worked, since it is never really explained in the tutorial. So I will show you now how you change your armament in the SU-25. You have to open your radio menu, and you have to contact the ground crew and ask to rearm and refuel. But that's not it yet. Like, for example, let's put here the Phantasmagoria pod, click OK, and you will see in the upper left screen that the ground crew is unable to rearm us. They say unable to comply, and it was a big struggle for me, and I have no idea why that is. Why can't they rearm me? So after watching some YouTube videos, I figured out that in the SU-25 you have to turn both your engines off, you have to turn your onboard electricity off, and you also have to open your canopy. Now that was nowhere really explained, so now let's try and rearm again. We will put the Phantasmagoria pod against radiation emitting sources, so we can lock those up. We will take 2 large KH-29T TV guided missiles. We will take 2 25 MPU anti-radiation missiles, and maybe here for the for the fun of it, some unguided rockets. Let's take this pod with 20 high explosive anti-tank rockets. And maybe on our wingtips, instead of the sidewinders, or they're actually not sidewinders, they are the Russian equivalent, I will take some ECM pods. Okay, make sure we have a full tank. Now let's try to rearm again, and let's see if the ground crew is now able to. Yes, they are. Now, while we wait here for our weapons to change, I also quickly want to talk with you about the labels of all the units. You see here this red text. They basically describe every unit, what it is, how far away it is, and also, of course, shows with the color on what side they are. Now, after all, DCS World is a simulation. Now, in real life, you wouldn't have those labels, so you can cycle through these and also turn them off completely. For example, this is now the most information you can get about the units. You can reduce these, like that, for example, like that, or turn them off completely, like this, which is way more realistic, but it makes spotting any kind of units much more difficult. So use this however you want. In the beginning you will usually always have the labels turned on, and later on you will gradually start reducing them. So we can see now our weapons changed. Back in the cockpit I will now have to go through the same steps again. Close the canopy, turn on the electricity, and turn on both of the engines. Now note, because the SU-25 is a low fidelity module, there is not really much to starting it up. There is no sequence or anything like that, so it's very easy to learn and to fly, of course. Also, I need to mention here, this is not really a tutorial. I assume that when watching that video you already watched or tried some of the in-game tutorials, especially for startup and navigation. Now we can see our engines here are spooled up. I will turn the HUD mode to the en route mode, which shows here this MPW in Russian letters. Of course, there are mods to change those to English, for example. Okay, let's take off. We are now very, very heavy with all that ordnance under our wings. We will have to reach at least 300 kilometers per hour for a successful takeoff. Okay, wheels up, so we can start raising our flaps, and then slowly start navigating towards our pre-planned waypoints towards the front line. Also, in the in-game tutorials, the waypoint navigation is explained a little bit more difficult than it actually is. In order to find your next waypoint, you don't really have to pay attention to the circle in your HUD or the double-lined indicator here in your HSI. You really only have to follow the small yellow needle in your HSI, and it will always take you directly to your next waypoint. Everything else you really just need if you want to intercept a course line for a precise landing, for example. We can already see in the upper right corner some radio chatter. That is the mission control communicating with the SEAT strike, and I think they are already starting to engage some SAM systems, as we can see here when we followed the weapons that they fired. And we just passed the first waypoint. It automatically switched to the second. We can also see on our RWR down here that sometimes we receive a warning that we are on the scope of some surface-to-air missile system. Of course, we are now way too far out of the front line, so they won't be able to hit us here, but they certainly track us. The SEAD strike fired here a second missile towards some SAM systems. Let's hope they take most of it out, so we will have better possibilities to engage our assigned targets without any air threats left. That was waypoint number 2. We will now turn towards our frontline waypoint, the number 3. As we can see in our HUD, it's 54 kilometers away, which gives us more than enough time to prepare for the battle ahead. I will slowly start changing to the air-to-ground mode, activate the Phantasmagoria pod, and at some point maybe we start seeing some radiation emitting sources in our HUD. First, for that I want to gain really some altitude and speed that will give our missiles a greater range and a better probability of hitting something. Also in this case here, on purpose, I won't do any kind of fast forwards or skip this basic flying here now, just to give you a feeling on how long a basic mission for the SU-25 in DCS world can take and how it really is like. That is also something they don't really show you in the training missions, how to switch between the camera modes, and you can actually follow all the planes from the Allied flights that are currently here in the air. For example, we see ourselves and our wingman, but we can also see our SU-27s here. We see the SU-24Ms here engaging SAM systems, and so on and so on. Also our helicopters here. So it's really fun to cycle through this sometimes when you don't have anything to do yourself and just follow them what they are doing. Okay, having a look at the HSI, our frontline waypoint is now about 30 kilometers away. We are still way out of range for our anti-radiation missiles.
Target is a grad battery in position.
Note that also when changing camera views and following other weapons and aircraft that the mission isn't paused or anything, your aircraft is still flying. So I engaged now the SU-25's autopilot. So what do we have here? We see in our HUD already I have two sources of radiation here. One has a label that is probably some kind of SAM system, and I expect that the other one on the right is the Gepard's radar probably. I won't lock them up yet, we are still too far out. I will wait until the very last moment. I will also turn on the IR jammer just in case if there are any IR guided frontline missile systems. I didn't see any on the threat screen, but you never know. Yep, the threads on the left side here now have two diamond systems. That is very likely our Roland, and the second one is the Roland's track radar. That is a separate vehicle. So I will start locking that up here. Oh, we can see they already fired some kind of SAM towards our allied flight here.
Vostok 25, 235. Contact target. Tense. Sector 43.
Okay, that radio message was now for us. As you can see, Vostok 25 to 35th contact armor, tanks sector 43. Okay, I will now start launching our two anti-radiation missiles towards the Roland SAM system. I always want to fire two of these.
Straight ahead from 7. Vostok 25, 235.
Missiles away. Always two, because some of those frontline SAM systems, they have very strong defense mechanisms themselves, and they are able to shoot down incoming missiles.
Running in.
Now let's see if we hit something.
Release.
And there goes the Roland. Great. Now I will command my wingman to also engage in air defenses. Maybe he can take that Gepard system. While we turn away, I will turn off my Phantasmagoria pod. We don't really need it anymore. I will switch to my Squall sensor here and select the KH-29Ts. These are very heavy. I would like to get rid of those first.
Vostok 25, 355. Targets engaged. Under testing. Exiting fire.
Aha, our wingman is running in. Missile away. He fired a Vichar and destroyed the Roland. Great. I will now tell my wingman to rejoin the formation. And then we will together start picking out our assigned targets one by one. And the next difficult step will be spotting those targets down there without labels turned on. There is some smoke. Smoke is always a great indicator that there is something going on there. I don't know if you guys can see it. There in the distance. There we have the main road. Oh, I'm getting a little bit too fast here. That's why the plane is shaking so much. I already see some small black dots down there on the road. Those must be some targets for us. Yeah, there they are, tanks. See if we can get the lock. We are tracking. Try to fire one of our 29Ts towards it. KH-29T is a very large and very heavy missile. It can destroy any kind of tank in an instant. And that was a direct hit. Now I will also command my wingman to engage the primary targets and rejoin our formation. Missile away. And that's basically how it is done and how the mission will continue until all of our targets are engaged. He hit a tree this time. Wasted one missile with it. I hope I can get rid of the second 29T. We are now quite right-wing heavy. So let's see if we can find the smoke again. Yeah, must be down there. I have a very bad sun reflection now in my squall screen. I got a lock though on one of those tanks. Let's engage it with the next 29T. For some reason it won't fire yet. In that case I will switch to our Vichars, the laser guided anti-tank missiles. I got one, switch to the next target. Maybe we can fire a second one. Yeah, perfect. Rounds on target. Okay, we are now notified by mission control. It seems like there are enemy aircraft in the area. So we are now withdrawing from the front line for a while until our SU-27s are engaging those enemy planes. I will also here tell again my wingman to rejoin the formation. And while we are turning away, I will switch the camera view to our SU-27s here. It seems like they're already in a fight with the enemy aircraft. Ah, there they are. F-16s. Yeah, we have some air-to-air missiles here. And let's hope the SU-27s are taking out the F-16s. There goes one. It's now 4 versus 1. I think it's safe for us to turn back to the front line and continue engaging our tanks. Again, I have to tell my wingman to engage the primary targets. Where is our smoke? There we have tanks in the field. Again, a very bad reflection. I hope I can get a look. Missile away. Hits on target. Let's see if we can lock up a second one. I don't know if that one is maybe already destroyed. Hard to say. No. Let's see what our wingman is doing. Yeah, he also destroyed the tank. I'd really like to get rid of that second 29T. I don't know, sometimes they really don't fire. I don't know why. Somehow the parameters are not met, even though we are within the ranging bar. Let's try it. Try it again on a different target.
Target contact in sector 3944. Artillery battery in position.
Okay, it seems like another allied flight is engaging an artillery battery. Yeah, these Vichars, they look really funny when they are in flight. They flap a little bit. That is our other flight engaging artillery positions with cluster munitions. Find ourselves a target for our large TV guided missile. Again, a very bad reflection. There is something on the road. No way of locking them up like this. Ah, there's a tank. Oh, I'm afraid our... Yeah, I was too low for launching that. Sorry, guys. But at least we got rid of the large KH-29T. Oh, there is a column of some vehicles trying to flank us. Would be fun to engage those with our unguided rockets if we are lucky. Now, the unguided rockets won't really do much damage against a main battle tank like that Leopards we have been engaging now. But if that column, and I'm kinda sure those were APCs, maybe we can get one or two of them with our unguided rockets. Where were they headed? No, that wasn't quite them. There they are. Okay, let's try to align with them. Fire the whole bunch. I actually hit them, but it seems like I didn't destroy one of them. Weird. Maybe they are also too heavily armored.
Positive 25, 359. Targets engaged. I'm Winchester. Exiting 5,000.
359, that's 25, it's 5,000.
Where are they? They are basically undamaged. Now that is a little bit unrealistic, since I fired a salvo of 40 rockets, high explosive anti-tank rockets at them, and I could clearly see that I hit those, but they didn't get any damage from it. We will have to use then our Vichars on them. There they are. Activate the laser. Maybe we can get the second one. And we destroyed two of the APCs. So there can't actually be too many targets left at this point, with my wingman and me engaging many of those. Maybe at some point I will turn the labels back on, because it will then gradually be very difficult to spot anything anymore. Oh, that was actually the Roland's search radar. So, where were our two APCs? There I see some smoke. Must be down there. Got a great visual now. Yep, there it is. Laser on. Missile away. Rounds on target. Now there is actually the second one. Maybe if we are fast we can also get this one. Missile away. Yeah, destroyed. Great. I think those tanks down there, they are actually all destroyed. I will start now gradually turning the labels back on and search for remaining targets. Okay, there is one down there, but it is already hit. And then there is one left here near the bridge. I wait for them to make it out of the forest because I really don't want to hit a tree. Oh, there is also an APC left in that small village. I'd rather go for the main battle tanks though. There they are. See if I can get a lock on these. Target found. Got a lock. Missile away. Rounds on target. As you can see with the red labels, our defensive regiment in there of our armored Russian vehicles is still safely in place now. My wingman and me just need to destroy the leftover enemy armor, and that should be a mission success. Okay, there's my wingman. I don't know what he's doing, if he's preparing for another running in. We just need to find that one APC there. I hope it's now not covered by a building. Looks a bit like it. Ah, there he is. I got the lock, activate my laser and hope that we hit him. I might fire actually a second missile in his direction. Ah, I destroyed him already, great. That should have been about it. Yeah, and there's the confirmation from mission control.
3000.
Targets engaged, exiting 3000, meaning exiting the frontline area at an altitude of 3000 meters. Of course, now basically the mission is over, but most of the missions in DCS world also include a successful landing. For that I will switch back to the en route mode and activate the return mode. You can see it's activated by this B3B here in the lower left corner of our HUD. And we will just follow that course back to the airport. Also at that point I can tell my wingman to rejoin the formation. Yeah, so from that small demonstration you could actually see how big of a punch the SU-25 actually packs, at least in DCS world here. As I said, I think some things like the Vichar system, they are so effective. I don't know if it's actually like this in real life. Also, you can see if we have a look at our fuel here, we still have plenty of it. So just like the A-10, the SU-25 can circle over a battlefield for a long time and support ground units. I could also now at this point, let's say we got damaged, for example, or for some reason we want to fly faster. I could jettison my external stores from the wings. I won't do that now. There is not really a need to, since we are basically unharmed. Now I know this was a long video. I didn't really skip anything. I will fly the whole mission with you. What I really want you to take from this is the rearming, the different possibilities you have. You don't have to go with the provided armament when you start the mission. How to mess around with the different labels and the advantages and disadvantages of them. Of course, if you have other units labeled, it makes it much more easier, but also more unrealistic. Also important and never really mentioned are the different options you have for the camera views. Of course, for a low fidelity aircraft like the SU-25 here, remember you cannot really press anything in the cockpit. It's vital that you know your HOTAS controls, your keyboard, your mouse, how to interact with them correctly. You need to bind many buttons alone for switching between the different sensors, turning the laser on and off, turning the ECM and IR jammer on and off, changing weapons, manipulating the crosshairs on your squall sensor here, making it smaller and wider. At the same point, also trimming the aircraft. You know, all of this you will have to remember, especially if you're flying in VR. Now at this point we can make radio contact with the ATC of Sukhumi and tell him we are inbound. Also our HUD here changed now to the NOC mode, meaning we are in the range of the ILS beam and we have a glide path here. We don't really need that since we have perfect weather conditions. I will make a visual approach. reducing the speed slowly here. After all, even though the flight model of the SU-25 is simplified and it doesn't give you a full simulator experience, it is still great fun. You have so many different weapon systems that you can use against your enemy. It will keep you occupied for many hours, and some really say it's something like the gateway drug to DCS world. Like everything that we did now with using different kind of guided weapons and so on, doing that in a full fidelity aircraft like the F-16 for example, that I've been learning for a few weeks now, it is way more difficult because you will have to click around many things in the cockpit. Now let's prepare for our landing, ask the ATC soon for our final landing permission. Extend our flaps a bit. At this point we can lower the landing gear. I didn't now fly a perfect approach. The flare. A smooth touchdown, extend our drag chute and slowly apply wheel brakes until we come to a final stand. Landing the SU-25T is actually really not very difficult. And here in the upper right corner we have now our mission success. Well done, that's everything you want to see after a mission. And we will end the video here now. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope that was helpful, and see you next time.